Here we are. Welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everything in between, to the Racing Pals Skip Barber World Tour Round 7 here at the Silverstone Grand Prix. The last race out at Austria was a very close-knit race from beginning to end. A few heartbreaks here and there in amongst the race, in amongst the battles. Some drivers who normally finish very high, having issues, in fact, throughout the race as time went on, as you can see by the race results. Ed Costetta coming through to take a win again to get 30 points. Jort finishing in second, the race with Jort. Lady Oscar now with a permanent drive for Wolf Team Racing coming in third. Fourth of Arkansas Dave or Bartledo, not getting punted this time, as was customary for when Arkansas Dave was in the last series. Milt coming through in fifth. He had quite a spotty race throughout the session. However, did manage to bring it up to fifth. Flyboy 206, who was standing in for Spectres for Jacob the Snack, came through in sixth, with Notley in seventh, Ascension 8th, 9th was Cameron Winters, 10th was Sheba, and 11th was in fact Deep Cuts. Then when we move on to the lower half of the grid, 12th was Automated Luxury, Subnight came in 13th, 14th was Darkiest, currently second in the championship, but we will get onto that later. 15th was Gone, 16th was Hoove, Trainboy 2006 came in 17th, 18th was TS Jacker Rowan, 19th was Trans Baconist, and 20th was Electra Sloth. On to the Drivers' Championship then. It's getting very tight up the top with 4 races that includes this one left in the championship. Ed Costella has a 7-point lead over Darkius and only a 10-point lead over Milt, with a 12-point lead, I think that is, I can say, over Lady Oscar. So the top 4 very close, with Suicidal Cookie, who is in 5th with a 24-point gap as well, which is going to make things even more interesting. The gap actually between 5th, 6th and 7th being 1 point and 2 point respectively. Jacob the Snack in 6th with a 25-point gap to the lead, and Jordan 7th with a 26-point gap to the lead. When this includes drop rounds at the end of the season, it'll be very interesting to see what results are discounted from drivers and what results actually go towards their overall finishing position. In fact, 2 drop rounds in the season will make for a very interesting showing, especially when it comes to the end result, as some drivers have already had bad races this season. Darkius is one that I can say has already. He's even said he's had bad races already. I think he might have said he has used pretty much all of his drop rounds as well, so it'll be very interesting to see how that goes. Ed Costetta, obviously our alien here in the Skip Barbers. There's not many races where Ed Costetta isn't on the pace and isn't up the front of the grid. However, that has happened, I believe, once this season already. Then moving down the grid, in 8th we have Notley, a 35-point gap. Letra Sloth in 9th, a 1-point gap to Notley, and a 36 to the lead. Deep Cuts in 10th, with Crisp SC7 in 11th. Then moving down even more and further, in 12th we have Automated Luxury, 13th is Subknife, 14th is Cameron Winters, 15th is Trainboy 2005, 16th is Hoove and the Groove on the Move, it's Hoove, who isn't with us today, 17th is Sheba, Trans Baconist in 18th, Irish Clone in 19th, 20th is Sench, 21st is Ihab Abbas, and 22nd is Nook Gibbon. And rounding off the grid, we've had 30 drivers race and score points this season. Gons is in 23rd, 24th is Arkansas Dave, 25th is Flyboy 206, 26th is Yazid, 27th is a tie between Trev Hummer, Pedro and TS Jacker Rowan, and in 30th is Cranky HD. So Silverstone itself as a circuit, a very tricky, very technical circuit. We are on the Sir Lewis Hamilton #blessed straight right now, overlooking the very impressive pit lane building, one of the longest pit lanes I believe of any track in Europe. I believe that might also be the case for America as well. I know in the real world F1 it is the longest pit lane of the calendar, losing a lot of time for pit stops, not even in the stop itself, but the just absolute length of the pit lane you have to go at pit speed. You know, you have to go in before the final chicane at Vale And then you have to go around a right-hander, up the pit lane, into your box, out, and then there's another left-hander which takes you out onto Abbey and Farm Curve. So the lap itself, let's see if we can grab someone as they start a lap. We'll do that in a bit, actually. So you come from the Hamilton Straight. Here we go, actually. Let's jump on board with Trans-Baconist. So you come onto the straight, you go through the first corner of Abbey, a right-hander quite flowing, then the left-hander of Farm Curve. You want to set yourself up for a good exit here, as then you have the slowest point on the track, Village and the Loop. So there we go, through Village. Trans-Bacon is getting a bit touchy there. Now through the Loop. Very slow corner, the slowest corner on the track, in fact. Then through the loop, you go through Aintree here. It's very, very imperative to get a good run onto the Wellington Straight. Down towards Brooklands now. So you can see you're going down towards Brooklands. Quite a long straight in the Skip Barber cars, so you will be able to get a good bit of drafting. Then into Brooklands. There's a couple of lines, actually, either going out wide and cutting in, or going in deep. However, you want to get a good launch here onto... let's jump onto... Automated Luxury, I believe this is, through Luffield. Now we're coming up to the old pit lane and the start of the GT3 layout instead. Then you go through this right-hand kink here for Woodcote, or Woodcott, however you want to say it. Now you're on another straight, long enough to get some good drafting maneuvers into a very tricky right-hander, which doesn't look very tricky of cops. It's actually harder than it looks, in fact. The track doesn't really curve much away from you, however the car can step out and just understeer onto the apron instead. Now through Maggots and Beckett's, the bit of the track that a lot of people know. Quick flick to the left, quick flick to the right, then you get another flick to the left as well. And then the final bit of Beckett's, long right-hander there, then onto Chapel Curve, onto now the Hanger Straight, the longest straight on the track, I believe. I believe it is anyway. This will now be the time where you get to sit back and think about what has happened this lap as you run down towards Stowe. You go running down towards Stowe, getting as close to the curb as you dare to get the best line through. Now the launch speed was very handy here to make a move into the next corner, which is Vale. Vale and Club. So here we are through Vale, the final chicane on the track. A sausage curb on the inside, so you can't go too deep. Then you go through Vale. Now we're on to Club. Usually a sausage curb on the outside of Vale. Now into Club, the final corner. Making sure not to hit that sausage curb, but take as much curb as you possibly can. And then that is the end of the lap itself. Now, we have one more thing to go through before we get to watching the action of qualification. And that is, as we normally do, the Teams Championship this season. In first with a 4-point gap over returning Teams Champions Penguin Virtuosos is Spectre Racing, a 251 point scored this season, with Penguin Virtuosos at 247, so only 4 points. Then you have Dinoco in third, a 45 point gap, so maybe the possibility there for Dinoco to come back. However, it'll be quite interesting to see if they can or not. Next Level Racing following in fourth with 181 points, and Penguin Aficionados with 158. Supercritical Racing with 157. And then you have Team Vapor in seventh with 146. Wolf Team Racing with 119. The Canoers with 108. QP with 93. And rounding off in 11th is Just Furious with 87 points. So now I believe I have been talking long enough. Let's start having a look at the trackside action itself. Here I think we're with... Not sure who we're with, actually. I think they're Trans-Baconist, number 119. I believe he's on the back of one of the Canoers as well. The Canoers having a stand-in today, who is called... Let me quickly grab that list up. Now we're on with Jake and a Snack. Let's sit on board with a lap here with Jake and a Snack. In the top camera while I have a look at the stand-ins for this race, see if I can find who is where. So, the Canoers, the number 87 car, is being taken over by Guardrail Hitter today. there anything else? The Penguin Aficionados car of Hoover and Groove on the move. It's Hoove is being taken over by Aaron Feidlach. He was in the Spectre Racing Machine last race. Very interesting to see how he comes in this race as well. What else I've missed? Dave Barseldew is somewhere, but I'm not 100% sure where. It doesn't tell me. Dave Barseldew is on the grid for today's race. We're on with Jake at a snack now as they head through Vale. He's got a Kiva car on the inside. I believe that is name Husky. Trans Bacon. This is William Treasure. Saw Jake at a snack going quite deep there. Current time to beat in this practice session is a 2-minute 31.192. Milt having set that lap time. Milt seeming to be very quick on the 1 lap pace. He had a bit of bad luck in the last race, I believe, which might have hindered his confidence going into this weekend. It's always an interesting thing to talk about, actually, confidence when it comes to sim racing. Because obviously sim racing and real racing have two massive parallels. One of them is in a game. I'm not going to gloss over the fact Jake at a snack just absolutely... I have no idea what the attempt was there from Jake at a snack. But when we're also... Sim racing and real racing have two very different parallels. Obviously sim racing, for some drivers, they might have a motion rig, VR, DD wheel, free screen setup, all that stuff to be more immersed as well. I'm aware of two VR drivers in our league. One of them is Automated Luxury. I think in the ACC league as well, a driver has a motion rig too. I'd have to get more clarification on that, but I believe that was talk in there. And obviously the biggest parallel between sim racing and real racing is in real racing, you're sat in the vehicle. You're sat in the car. You get to feel all the forces. Which is what, I guess, the motion rig tries to do. VR might help in a way. You don't feel the forces in the same way as if you're in a motion rig with it. However, you do, I guess, get more visual feedback. As everywhere you look, you're there. You can't look to the side and quickly you're looking at your room. Or look down and you're quickly looking at your feet, etc. Obviously, wheels have become more and more standard in sim racing over time. Things like Forza and the more simcade things preferring controller, it seems. However, things like Assetto Corsa that we run here and ACC, I believe, will probably be a lot more focused on the wheel players. And this brings an amazing sort of idea with confidence in sim racing and real racing. Because in real racing, I guess one thing that will always be going in through your mind might be like, I could get injured in a crash. In sim racing, you don't have that risk of an injury, really. So it's always very interesting to sort of take a sit back and ask people who do sim racing, or even just taking a sit back and thinking yourself, how would your confidence change between like a real race and sim racing? A good contrast is people who have done karting before, either of like, I don't know, a club level, or even like actual kart racing with their own, or just going for a hire. It's very interesting. I know myself, in sim racing, I'm actually a lot more relaxed on my attacking moves than I am karting, which is interesting because normally when I'd ask people that I know, it would be sort of in the other direction, where they'd be more confident in sim racing to make, lunges and dives and, quick change moves over real racing. So it's always a very interesting thing to think about. Especially in sim racing and result, these drivers are very competitive with each other. Not in a bad way either. Everyone is still friends, which is always good. But no, it's always, a lot of these drivers also do ACC, pit themselves against each other, week in, week out. We also have the Wednesday race and chill where some of the drivers come along, and also the race roulette on Saturdays. So yeah, a lot of these drivers have raced with each other for, a fair few races, maybe the last season in a Skip Barber. So it will be very interesting to sort of see the rivalries come about, I guess. See how the transfers go as well as the practice session comes around. So my time filling there has been very, very handy. While we wait for the session to end, I'm quickly going to take a drink. So here we are, getting a view of Darkius. He's definitely going to want to have a better race this time out, finishing quite low down the order in the last race as well. I believe maybe picking up 1 or 2 penalties too. I'll quickly get another, I'll quickly get a sum up. So Darkius was involved in a fair few incidents at Red Bull Ring, picking up 2 10-second time penalties and 2 warnings as well for that race, ending up down in 14th, allowing Ed Costetta to widen the gap, which I'm sure for Darkius will not be what he would have wanted. Ed Costetta winning the championship last season, returning champion for the Drivers' Championship. Spectre both have a very good chance still this season of scoring the double, the drivers and the constructors, with a 4-point gap in the constructors and a 7-point gap in the drivers. It is still able to be won in both directions. Ed Costetta and Darkius very close together in that title championship fight as well. Penguin Virtuosos and Spectre Racing very close in that Constructors' Championship fight too. So as the season goes on, I'm going to be very interested to see how these final 4 races play out, as I'm sure for a lot of drivers up and down the grid, it's now sort of getting into that crunch time. 4 races left. Some drivers might have already used up their 2 drop rounds as well. So we'll have to see what happens in the next 4 races. See if any drivers maybe start pushing a lot more for practice. See maybe if a lot of drivers have done consistent lapping over practice as well. See just how it goes in the end as the session comes to an end. We are now going to be getting into qualifying. One thing that I do want to just say is these cars look amazing on the Silverstone pit lane as well. Really do. Sorry about that. The cars just look so good up and down the pit lane. There is some slightly broken tire texture as well, so it'll be very interesting to see what happens for the rest of the season. The big talking points obviously being Penguin Virtuosos versus Spectre Racing, up and down the grid as well. Both teams that always place very high in each races. A 5th and a 2nd, I believe, on the last race out as well. Let's see if we can find the man himself up the grid right at the start. There he is, Ed Costetta, returning champion. For the Drivers' Championship. We'll see how Ed does today as well. Obviously a 7-point gap. There is no room for complacency, really, up the front of that grid. So I always love watching the battle between the front runners. All the time they give very good racing. Remember, a 7-point gap between Ed Costetta and Darkius, and also a 10-point gap between Milt and Ed Costetta, and a 12-point gap between Lady Oscar and Ed Costetta as well. So all drivers, all the top 4, even really the top 6, maybe even the top 7, depending on how you count, could be applicable for the for the Drivers' Championship win. Right, we are now on with Ed Costetta, who is coming out for the quali, first car out. So Ed Costetta clearly wanting to just take in a very quick banker lap, making sure there's no one in front, no one behind as well. One thing you don't want to do Okay, no, there is someone behind. I do apologize. One thing you don't want to do, I guess, on the track where there are long straights with skip barbers is allow drafting, is to allow yourself to give a tow to a car behind. Maybe, and this might come off as sounding horrible. I don't mean it in a horrible way whatsoever. Maybe the sort of slower drivers might really enjoy a tow. However, you don't want to allow yourself to give a driver who's on your pace or even a bit faster a tow, to allow them to get past you on the long straight of both the Wellington and the Hangar. So we've got 20 minutes of qualifying. The first minute and a half has already gone. I wonder if Rob Phillips is going to qualify today. I don't know. Normally he doesn't. I don't think he has for the past few races. Having spoken to him, I'm pretty sure, at least the way it sounded to me, is if you're at the back of the pack, you don't get caught up in any of the first lap drama, which, yeah, fair enough. Actually, I can't say anything more than that. There have been times in sim racing where I've done that. I'm sure there's been times where everyone's done that, really, be it in a pub or a league race. Obviously, first lap, if you're in the mid-pack, everything's a lot closer, a lot tighter. Quite easy for you or even drivers around you to make mistakes. As well as Ed Castetter. Ooh, very rare sight there into Stowe as Ed Castetter getting a little bit loose, having to put in a bit of counter steer, actually. Here we go. Let's watch Ed Castetter now on his lap as he comes into Vale. Very close to the inside curb there on the left. I'm going to pull the microphone just a bit closer to my face because I need to remount this swing arm properly. To be completely honest, I may do that in a moment. I need to just tighten up a thing on the back because it's actually a bit stuck in the thing. So let's watch Ed Castetter doing his lap now. 1 minute, I am actually going to quickly tighten the thing under because I can tell I'm going to pull my swing arm up and out. So we will watch Ed Castetter on his lap while I go under my desk and fix a thing. That's a lot better, actually. Here we are, on with Ed Castetter now. I've put my microphone in such a way now so it's pretty much commentator microphone in a way, really. But here we see now Ed Castetter on the run up to Maggots and Beckett's. Let's see how he does now. Ed Castetter, a very fast driver on the grid for this for the series, in fact. Previous series champion as well, so it'll be very interesting to see how Ed Castetter does as he goes through Beckett's. Now onto the Chapel Curve, onto the Hangar Straight. Remember, longest straight on the track. You can get a good view on the outside here. A very nice, vibrant day. There is a canoeer's car behind Ed Castetter. And you can also see Darkius in the background. Hell, you can see everyone in the background behind. Really, pretty much everyone on the track. Ed Castetter, a lot of counter steer. On the run down now to Vale. Off track a little bit. Another large bit of counter steer. I wonder if Ed Castetter is having issues there, in fact. Having issues through Stowe, now through Vale, now up to Club. Final corner is Club. Have a look, how close does he get to the sausage coming on the inside? Not very. His first time is going to come across and be a 1:34.9. Trainboy 2005 slotting in a better time as well. We'll see there. Darkius coming in Two saddle lap time. Milt coming through. Just under a second off. We're now on board with Milt. Milt was the fastest in practice. We'll see how Milt does now through his second quali lap. Milt always seems very fast in practice and quali. So we'll see how he does now as he comes onto his second lap. Going through the loop. Now onto Aintree. And then the run onto the Wellington Straight towards Brooklands. Here we go. Down the Wellington Straight now. Very long straight, in fact. Are you not qualifying today, Gons? Now through Brooklands. Keeping it very tight. In fact, quite a lot of steering lock there. We head through Brooklands. Now into Luffield. There is multiple lines through the track today. Oh, there's Darkius going off at Woodcote there, keeping it off track to not impede Milt's lap. Now on the run towards Cops. Let's see. Milt very much on the power. You can hear that foot slam to the floor for, let's charitably call it the engine in the skip Barber. Now through Cops. Now on the run towards Beckett. Towards Maggots, sorry. Maggots being the first part. Beckett's being the second part. Here we go, through Maggots. A quick flick to the left and then a quick flick to the right. Now you've got the second flick to the left as you enter Beckett's. Now the Chapel Curve. Let's see how Milt does. The split time coming through. Just under 3/10 off of pole time so far. Every driver, bar Notley and Gons, out on the track. Now through Stone. Not as much counter steer as Ed Costello had on his first lap. Your best time so far, 2:30.746. Milt, however, will be looking to take that first spot on the grid. Ed Costello coming through now with a 2:32.5. Let's have a look. Can Milt beat Darkus's time? Not quite. He does improve though. 1:31.18. Through turn one, taking a lot of curve on the inside there. Suicidal Cookie jumping into third place, pushing Jacob the Snack down for 1:31.591. Cameron Winters slotting up to 11th with a 2:34.2. Have a look now as Milt goes through the loop, going very wide on the entrance, but getting quite a good flick round through the apex. Now onto Aintree and then the Wellington Straight, taking as much curb as possible on the inside of Aintree there. Now we'll have a look as he heads down the Wellington Straight. Just over 11 minutes left of the session. Then through Brooklands, maybe missing the apex there quite a bit. Now through Luffield, very tight in. That might sacrifice some straight line speed there. We'll see how Milt's time is as he heads up towards the first timing line, I believe. Could be wrong. We're still searching and still looking. Lecturer Sloth up to 4th with a 2:31.5. Up to 4th for Lecturer Sloth. Crispus C7 a 2:32.6 there, putting himself up to 7th place so far. Just under, a 10th between himself and Ed Costetta. We're still with Milt. A 1:47.8 is the time to beat through the timing line. No, just over a second, just under a second, sorry, off of that time. I wonder if Milt's having a bit of trouble getting around, just piecing together the lap today. Let's have a look. He was a second off, so I don't think this will be a lap to get that pole time. Ed Costetta, a 232.185, not improving but not denying a position either. Let's jump on board with Ed Costetta after Milt has finished his lap. A 232.1. So now we're on board with Ed Costetta. Jacob the Snack moving up into 5th of a 231.8. Well, so Jacob the Snack tailing off the 231 so far. Few drivers in the 32s, a few drivers in the 33s. Ascench there puts in an absolute lap and gets a 231.5. Moving himself up to 3rd, and his teammate Suicidal Cookie pushed down into 4th. Now, Ed Costetta, currently in 7th place. We're on board with Ed Costetta now. You can see his steering inputs. You can also see about where he shifts as well, in fact. So watching Ed Costetta go through cops, you can tell there's a lot of tension here. Ed Costetta, his two rear... Well, in reality, a few of his championship rivals up ahead. In fact, which might not be making him feel as settled there as... Oh, has an off track at Beckett's. That is going to sacrifice a lap quite quickly, actually. Ed Costetta pulls off to the side. I believe that's going to be a pit lane there. Here is Dave Bartleby stepping in for the Penguin Aficionados driver of Hoof for this race. Currently running in P11 to 233.347. Heading through now up towards the loop. Well, it's very interesting to watch how drivers take the loop because there are a couple of lines into it. We've seen people go deep. We've seen people go mid. We've even seen a couple of drivers go out wide just to try and get the slipstream as best as they can on the run towards the Wellington Straight and Brooklands. Look how Bartleby takes Brooklands itself, sticking mid to the track and just glancing over the apex as much as possible, trying to set himself up for Luffield, I think. Luffield, I found in a lot of games, you can absolutely ruin your lap time by getting it wrong. Milt just improving a tiny bit of a 231.163. Sub-9 moving up into 9th position as well with a 233.1. So heading up to 233s is Sub-9. Let's see how Dave Bartleby does on his lap. A 4th place finish at the Austrian Grand Prix. Through Beckett's now, through Maggots, now into Beckett's. Have a look how he does. 19 cars have qualified. Obviously, Gons never qualifies. I can tell he's in the stream, so that's why I'm sort of doing it, because it's funny. now onto the Hangar Straight for Dave Bartleby. I didn't catch what the intermediate time was there. Someone has dropped out the server, I believe. As well, now through Stowe, now towards Vale. Bit of a curb there inside, bit of a curb there on the inside of the second part. No curb on the exit though. No curb around the final corner of Club either. Very interesting to see. Let's see as Dave Bartleby comes across the line. It's a 232.9, moving himself up to 8th for the tail end of the 232s. Who haven't I jumped on very much this series? Here you go. Let's jump on with Trainboy 2005, currently heading down the Wellington Straight towards Brooklands. Now the team manager, I think, of the Canoers. Canoe having left the league, I think earlier this season. Giving Chainboy 2005 the promotion up to the driver manager of the team. Look. Very much curb on the outside there. You've got just over 4 minutes left in the session. Your current top three are Darkius, Milt, and Sench. However, one thing that we have learnt with the skippies over the series really is the fact that qualification is only, you know, a part of the battle. Obviously, Saturday and Sunday means two different things. You can qualify great, and yeah, that might set you up better for the race. However, really, there is no points for Saturday. Also in the chat, Cream has followed. Thank you for the follow, Cream. In the chat now, I'm going to get a thing that's just saying, it's crime! I'm saying Cream because it's funny. At least to me it is. Now, the Chamber 2005, was he on an out lap? Did he cross? Has he been on a flying lap this whole time? Let's have a look. He was on an out lap, right? So let's watch Chamber 2005 on an out lap. We've seen the front of the grid now. Chamber 2005 sits around the mid in the races. Have a look as he heads up through the farm. Oh, a lot of counter steer there as he took the car in now through the loop. Have a look, going sort of mid and trying to get that slingshot round again. A little bit of counter steer. I'm getting used to Cream. Oh no! I'm not saying it like that. I'm saying it. I'll put in the chat how I'm saying it. I'm saying it like that. That's how I'm pronouncing Cream. I do love it when I can do stuff like that. It's one of the funnest parts of being a commentator. There's two things I love. A, when I mispronounce the name so badly, either as a joke or the fact that I just can't figure it out in my head, because that ends up sort of becoming like what some people get known as is how badly the commentator messes it up. Another thing I love, and I believe I touched on this at the last race as well, is teams who put a little Easter egg for me to find on the car. I always love that because if it ever just sort of catches my eye out of the corner of my eye when I'm watching an onboard or something, it always does make me smile a little bit because it's like this is being a bit self-aware. So with 1 minute and 20 seconds left in the session now, drivers may be on with final laps. Chamber 2005, 2.6 off of pole time through that timing zone. A few drivers who are on track will get a second lap. Dave Bartle and Subnai will not be able to get a second lap. I don't think I'd want to bet on odds on Gons finishing last because he didn't qualify. Last time he did okay. So here we see Chamber 2005 coming across the line. It's not going to be out of the 233s. It's actually 234.1 for Chamber 2005. Now we're on with Darkius. Currently running in the lead, provisional pole by about 4/10 over Milt and about 7-8 tenths off of Suicidal Cookie and just about a second off of Lecture Sloth. Just under by like the tiniest bit. Darkius actually, I believe, maybe slowing up a little bit. Have a look as he heads through Maggots. The session is now over. We will have a look at how people qualify. Right now, your top three is Darkius, Milt, and Suicidal Cookie. Milt there has finished qualifying. Currently in provisional second for Milt. Subnai, Deep Cuts, Nopley, and Nook Gibbon, and also Irish Clone have finished up. Darkius, I believe, has finished his lap, so that will be provisional pole for Darkius. Unless this man, Ed Costetta, can improve. A bit touchy on the outside of Beckett's. Let's have a look. A 147 to get from the timing sector. No, 6 tenths. 6.5 tenths through the timing sector for Ed Costetta. He's going to have to pull something amazingly out of the bag now. Stowe, a corner that Ed Costetta has had to counter steer on the entrance. And again, that has been staying true. And taking quite a lot of AstroTurf on the outside as well. Could Ed Costetta improve into the 231s? Because at the minute he's on 7th in provisional. Ed Costetta, our current championship leader. Keep in mind, round the final corner, Lectra Sloth moving up into 2nd place. Provisional with that. Ed Costetta coming through the line, only jumping 1 position for 231.6. There are a few drivers still on the grid that could contest that. There's Crisp SC7, Lady Oscar currently in 9th, Automated Luxury finishing with a 232.9, putting himself up to 11th. Now through the final chicane comes Crisp SC7. Bit of counter steer on the exit. Trainboy 2005, not improving from 14th for 233.2 his best time so far. Now Crisp SC7 along the line. Is he going to cause a heartbreak? No. Stays in 8th position. Here is Aaron Feidlak. Even my time is broken. I think it's like might not be. There's 100% there. Actually, no, it could be. We'll have a look at Aaron Feidlak. A 30, a 230.7 to beat. He's not going to do it as he comes across the line. That was a 234.435. Oh. So, your qualifying order, as someone has just backed out the server, is Darkius, Letra Sloth, Milt, Suicidal Cookie, Sench, Ed Costetta, Jacob Snack, Lady Oscar, Dave Bartledew, Automated Luxury, Subnai, Deep Cuts, Trainboy 2005, Nopley, Aaron Feidlak, Cameron Winters, Irish Clone, Transbaconist, Nook Gibbon, and I'm going to guess in last, failing to qualify, is Gons. So we are just going to wait for the race to come underway. Camera. We will do the same grid walk that we have done over previous races. And now for the session to come to a close. .30 seconds left, so qualifying. The only driver to get out of the 231s was Darkius, a 230.746. Couple of drivers there on that front, in front of Ed Costetta, who's starting down in 6th. So he'll have a few cars to negotiate to get up to the first place points paying positions overall. Here we are on grid. I've jumped back into the pit lane as I normally do. So once again, we will go on our grid walk. Has driver names broken? Yes. Driver names have broken. Isn't very helpful. So we'll go on a grid walk. Darkest in pole. Ledger Sloth there in second place. Milton third. Suicidal Cookie running fourth. Or is that Cinch? It's one of the Next Level Racing Waifu Hunters teams. Team Cars, number 8 machine there. Of the same outfit. Ed Costetta starting in 6th place. With Jacob Snack in 7th. Here's Chris SC7 in 8th. And 9th, I believe that's Lady Oscar. Or is that that is Lady Oscar in 9th. There is Dave Bartle in 10th. Here is on the Vapor Machines in 11th. And rounding down the grid as well, we have quite a few cars on board today. People bibbing their horns at me. Hello, hello, hello. I will get it down the grid here. And rounding off with the final few. Two lights, one light. And it is lights out. And away we go here for round 7 of the Skip Barber Championship at Silverstone. A good start there from Notley as well. 3 wide through the first corner, 4 wide even down the grid as well. Many drivers getting involved in tussles. Jacob the Snack making moves on Ed Costello, Lady Oscar making moves on Crisp SC7, Trainwood 2005 and Fidelac all making move on deep cuts as well. A bit of contact there into technically the 3rd corner. Notley and deep cuts losing a position. Cameron Winters and Fidelac still moving up. Crisp SC7 moving up to 8th on Lady Oscar, who then takes it back immediately afterwards. We are currently running on board with Transbacon as you can see the battle unfurling ahead. Now with Jacob the Snack. 2 by 2. He's side by side with Sench. Getting the inside line. However, Sench could have an attack up the inside of Luffield, really. We'll have a look as Ed Costetta is now up in 5th. And Sench does get the inside line through Luffield. However, I don't know if it's going to be enough. No, it's not as they run through. Darkest already pulling a 1.3 second gap to 2nd place. Now we're back with Lady Oscar. 1.1 second now to Sench, who is behind. Lady Oscar on the inside of Sench as they head through Cops. We'll have a look here. Lady Oscar making the move, but is Sench going to be able to attack back now? As he is currently in 8th place. On the rear as they head through Maggots. Or Sench almost having a look there, actually. Now up towards Beckett's. Through Beckett's. There is someone off behind. That, I believe, is Dave Bartle off behind at the start of Beckett's. Now, Sench will be looking on the back of Lady Oscar as they head down the hangar straight. Have a look as Sench dives to the outside towards Stowe. They're side by side. A bit of side by side contact, I believe, there actually, as Lady Oscar gets the inside line through Stowe. However, that is not always the be-all and end-all, as Sench goes back and gets the cutback. Now heading towards Vale. They will be side by side. Lady Oscar will have the inside line through the first part of Vale. However, Sench could snap it back on the second. No, Lady Oscar does still stay just ahead there, actually. As you can see ahead, Jacob the Snack on Suicidal Cookie, who is on Ed Costello, who has moved up to 4th from 6th. Whew. Now side by side in the first corner, Suicidal Cookie and Ed Costetta. Ed Costetta fighting for that 4th position. Suicidal Cookie absolutely defending it. And as he gets a tap into Farm Curve there, maybe, as Lady Oscar goes heavily out the inside of Jacob the Snack. Into turn 3, side by side through the loop. Now through Aintree, there's still so many drivers side by side. It's actually hard to get a camera that sees them all. We're having a look now. Ed Costetta absolutely on the gearbox of Suicidal Cookie into Brooklands. How is Ed Costetta going to do it? Is he going to prioritize the line into Luffield? We'll have a look as side by side. Suicidal Cookie giving a little bit of a squeeze, but Ed Costetta getting up through into Luffield. Absolutely carving that carving that position. Maybe Jacob the Snack will capitalize on it as well, as Lady Oscar goes off, gets a little bit loose, and almost has contact with Sench, who also slips past Lady Oscar because of that mistake. Now Jacob the Snack is on Suicidal Cookie as they head towards Cops. Let's have a look here. No moves into Cops. Suicidal Cookie is very close onto the rear of Ed Castetta as well. As further down the grid, Subnight has made a move for 15th on Deep Cuts. Now heading through Maggots. You can see just how close these cars actually are through each other here as we get a really interesting camera actually. Suicidal Cookie blocking the apex off from Jacob the Snack. Oh. We go back to the safety car. Now down the straight. Who is going to be gifted the draft from Ed Castetta? That is the question. There's Lady Oscar in the background as well, trying it down the inside. Suicidal Cookie defending down the inside as well. Lady Oscar making the move on Sench further back too, but Sench once again is going to try to cut back towards Vale. Here we go. Sench on the outside once more. Lady Oscar on the inside. Very late on the brakes there for Lady Oscar. Actually hitting the sausage curb, but defending the inside through the second part as well from Sench. An amazing move there for Lady Oscar, really, from the look of it. Into Stowe. Now Lady Oscar is going to be unleashed onto the back of Suicidal Cookie, as it looks like they're going to run side by side into the first corner. And, contact there. Lady Oscar on Suicidal Cookie. Sench has to take evading action into the runoff of the first corner. I think that was to avoid the slightly unsettled rear of Suicidal Cookie. That looked like the two cars just about came together, in fact. Now we're with Subnight, who is on the rear of Notley as they head in towards the loop. The gap between the two being about 4 tenths. We are going to jump back up the grid to Lady Oscar, who is now still chasing the rear of Suicidal Cookie. The gap just over 3 tenths. As you see, Suicidal Cookie getting the back quite loose there now as they head through Luffield. Further back as well, Chris Besley 7 has made the move on Cameron Winters for 13th. Cameron Winters, I think, might actually be off. Yes, Cameron Winters has spun down at Brooklands, in fact. So, Cameron Winters, maybe not the best of days for him now, down in 21st after what must have been a spin into Brooklands. Not sure if there was contact or not. As we are back, with the fight between Lady Oscar and Suicidal Cookie. 5 tenths the gap. We get this very nice aerial camera. You can see Darky as the gap he has pulled between himself and Lecturer Sloth, who is also having to defend from Milt as well. The gap being about 4.4 seconds between Darkius and Lecturer Sloth. However, it does go up and down as the lap progresses. And now going to switch back to Sench, who's chasing the rear of Automated Luxury. Sench the car... Once I get my teeth back in my head... Ooh, Sench there, I think, getting a little bit on the grass. Sench, the orange next level racing car we're currently riding on board with. Automated Luxury, the blue, purple and black car ahead as we head through Cops. Trying to find the best camera as we go around. It's a mix between set 2 and set 3. Automated Luxury with a big lock up there into Vale. Rob Phillips, Gons, moving up into 17th further down, taking over 18th from Dave Bartledy. Dave Bartledy knocking down the order. Has Dave Bartledy had a spin as well? Yes, he has. That's at Stowe. As Notley has also lost 2 positions to Subnight and Chris Best C7. However, he will be side by side with Chris Best C7 into the first corner. Chris Blair moving a little bit out into the middle of the road. It looked like there might have been a little tiny bit of side by side contact there as Notley came off of the grass. Is now through towards the loop. We'll have a look how they come. Oh, Chris Besley 7 going very deep into the loop, allowing deep cuts to slip through as well. Now, deep cuts will be on the rear of that Wolf Team Racing car as well, down the straight as well, down the Wellington Straight, in fact, towards Brooklands. Very good place to get a draft. We've already seen, you can see that Team Vapor car getting closer. Now through Brooklands, Notley goes very deep. Respect 7 has to lock up to avoid a collision there with one of the two. Now into Luffield. Let's have a look how it goes. Oh, Deep Cut's having to go very wide there. Chris Bessie 7 might be able to capitalize on that, actually. I have to see now as they head through Woodcut. Now, side by side, Deep Cuts and Notley maybe into the next corner at Cops. Let's have a look how it goes. We'll see. Deep Cuts will get the inside line. It will be a little bit touch and go there, actually. I honestly thought Deep Cuts would have gotten the move there. Now we'll turn our attention to the top of the screen. That big cluster of cars you can see heading through Maggots now. Now through Beckett's. Notley is leading that pack. Deep Cuts actually having moves made by Chris Bessie 7. However, Deep Cuts will get the inside through Beckett's. Irish Clone also get involved. I believe there's some contact there. There is contact. Someone goes off. I think that's Irish Clone off. Yes, it is. Irish Clone looking like he got a little bit of contact with Chris Bessie 7. As further up the grid, Ed Costello has made a move into third place against Lecturer Sloth. And very, very stonewall defense there from the returning Drivers' Champion, Ed Costello, to not allow Lecturer Sloth to capitalise at all. Now a 2.1 second gap for Ed Costello to catch up to Milt. 7-point gap between Ed Costello and Darkius in the championship so far. With 34.5 minutes just gone to go. We're now jumping on with Subnight, who is now very much chasing the rear of Aaron Feidlach. As they head to the first corner. 2/10, just over 1/10 now is a move in towards the loop complex going to be on. No, Aaron Feidlach defending the apex very stoically there. And then also the loop as well, not really giving much place for Subnight to go. Further up the grid as well, the move for 7th has been made. Automated luxury on Sench. That could carry on as the race continues. Also further down the grid, Trainboy 2005 making the move for 13th on Chris Bessie 7 as well. Now, down towards Brooklands. Can Subnight try something here? He is very close. No, not quite. Actually removing... No! Aaron Feidlach gets a little bit unsettled there through Brooklands. Subnight very much in the position to capitalise on that perfectly, in fact. As further down the grid, what's happened to Lady Oscar? Lady Oscar was very high up at the start of this race. However, now Lady Oscar's running in 15th. Lady Oscar in contention for the championship this season. Lady Oscar only coming in for a permanent drive at the last round. Lady Oscar having been a reserve driver for a few teams. Penguin Virtuosos and Aficionados mostly. Currently running 4th in the championship, I believe. Very good performance there from someone who has done half the season as a reserve driver. Wolf Team Racing had an open spot with Pedro stepping out of the season, and they obviously saw that Lady Oscar was free for a permanent drive and quickly signed him up. I think was a very smart move in this season's transfer window. A few smart moves having been made, actually. Jacob the Snack having gone to Spectre, and now up the inside of Trainboy 2005. Lady Oscar, very good move there. Stowe has been an absolute hunting ground for multiple drivers this session. However, is Trainboy 2005 going to try something into Vale? Hard on the brakes. No, Trainboy 2005 stays behind. Hits the sausage curb, in fact. We're now stepping back to Gons, Rob Phillips, who's currently running 16th, chasing the rear of Trainboy 2005, who's running in 15th. Gons obviously never qualifying in the series. Currently running from 21st up to 16th. We'll have a look as on the brakes. Oh, a big lock up ahead as well for Lady Oscar. You just saw the smoke from the onboard. We're now going to go to this battle here as it is now hotting up. The battle for second place between long-standing rivals Milt and Ed Costetta. Back in the day, apparently Ed Costetta took a win from Milt on the final lap. Let's see if Ed Costetta might be able to do the same to Darkest as well. Ed Costetta having speed. He has climbed from 6th place up to 3rd so far. However, it has been about 14 minutes as well. Multiple times, George is saying in the chat. So yeah, I think I'm right in saying very long-standing rivals Milt and Ed Costetta. With the Drivers' Championship being this contested as well this season, it's going to be definitely the races hotting up as we get towards the final rounds. As well, part of me thinks the last round at Interlagos is going to be a championship decider. In fact, Ed Costetta getting a little bit loose through Beckett's and Maggots. They're actually now 1.3 gap, 1.4 gap to Milt. So could be interesting to see how that battle rages on. We're now jumping with Suicidal Cookie, who is right up the gearbox of Jacob the Snack, going very much inside through Stowe. Is Jacob the Snack going to be able to take the cutback like Sentra's done multiple times this race? Well, let's see, is Jacob the Snack going to be able to make a move? No, very hard on the brakes, though he's very much up the bumper of Suicidal Cookie now. It looked like Jacob the Snack could brake a lot later. However, he hit the inside curb on the outside of Vale there, which might have actually allowed Suicidal Cookie to get the excess speed and just open the door up. In fact, further down as well, the move for 10th has been made, not only on Aaron Feidlach. Now we're up with Ledger Sloth, who's chasing the gearbox of Ed Costetta. Here we are, the battle for 10th, Aaron Feidlach and Notley. Notley in that lime-coloured car there. Aaron Feidlach in the grey, orange and white Penguin Aficionados team as Notley goes very deep. Lady Oscar takes a lot of sausage curb on the inside there, but Notley moves up the inside at the loop. What a move there for Notley. It's one that we've seen a lot in many motorsports, but every time you actually manage to perfectly pull it off like that, it is absolutely a wonder to watch. Now, though, however, Aaron Feidlach might get the speed on Notley as they head towards Brooklands. However, he is under attack from deep cuts. It's going to be 2, 3 wide. 3 wide, in fact, 4 wide there for a minute. 2 wide ahead, 3 wide behind through Brooklands. Now into Luffield. Lady Oscar thinking about making moves past his teammate as well as taking 2 positions off of Chris Best C7 and deep cuts. My voice is already going. But here we see Notley now on the rear of Aaron Feidlach, who has held 10th position. However, as they head through Cops, let's see how it goes. Does the inside line give the advantage? We'll have a look as well, side by side, teammates. In fact, Lady Oscar and Notley, there might be some team orders happening here, but I don't expect there will be. We can get a good camera angle here. Lady Oscar having moved past Notley. Now Lady Oscar will be on Aaron Feidlach for 10. Feidlach getting the inside there through the second parts of Maggot. Now through Beckett's. Lady Oscar getting the inside that time, which does give you the advantage. However, getting the advantage there might not be the be-all and end-all, as then you get drafted down the Hanger Straight. So if there's no one in front, you lose that draft completely. As you can see, Notley behind, making perfect use of the draft from both, depending on what line he actually wants to do. Is through Stowe, Aaron Feidlach gets the rear out. Very close there between Notley and Aaron Feidlach there. That was almost nose to gearbox. As now down the inside at Vale goes Notley. Does he hold the position? Aaron Feidlach's going to get the inside through the second part. It might be a run to club. We'll have to see. Oh, that is so close. Behind, you can actually see the battle perfectly from the rear wing of Lady Oscar. Now we're going to get a very good angle here, actually. Oh, very nice angle, in fact. As they head through turn 1, now through turn 2, the farm curve. Oh, Trainbow 2005 also wanting to get involved as well. Now towards the loop. Oh, Nobley's going to have the inside there. However, Aaron Fidlack might be able to get the faster line onto the Wellington Straight. Sorry, I always call it the Brooklyn Straight because Brooklyn's is the corner next to it now. Aaron Fidlack is going to get the draft, but he comes back out quickly. Trainboy 2005 also sitting in that draft as well. Are we going to see 3 wide once again into Brooklyn's? No, I don't think we are. I think we are, however, going to see 2 wide as Fidlack takes the speed line through Brooklyn's, very much so, to defend the inside into Luffield there. As right there defending the inside, actually opening Notley up to Trainboy 2005 instead. Notley, I think, maybe getting some side-by-side contact with Trainboy 2005, losing 2 positions there, maybe losing 3 to Rob Phillips as well. Yes, in fact, losing 3 to Rob Phillips. However, he might be able to make something back round the outside of Cops. It's just coming up the right-hander, remember? We're on board. Rob Phillips there on the inside. You can see the front wheel just appearing. Let's see. You can see the group of cars behind. Lady Oscar is starting to whittle that gap down to Subnai. However, it is sitting at 7.5 seconds. So, could be an interesting one to see if that does come down. The gap between the leader and second place as well. 7.3 seconds. Gaps have started to appear pretty much everywhere as the session has gone on. We're now on board with Trainboy 2005. Fidlack is on the inside as they're going to head through Stowe. Now, the inside hasn't been the complete be-all and end-all this race so far. You have been able to get the cut back. Now we're going to see maybe a late move into Vale here on the inside. Trainboy 2005. Later on the brakes is the key. They are side by side through Vale. This means that Fidlack is probably going to get the better line through the second part. Yes, he does indeed. We'll see how it goes through Club. It's through the final corner. Very much nose to tail. Notley making the move on Rob Phillips behind as well. A PB of a 232.34 for Lady Oscar 2. As up the inside at turn 1. Trainboy 2005. Is he going to make the move? Oh, and there's contact between Fidlack and Trainboy 2005. Nothing that puts anyone off track. However, Trainboy 2005 now will be launched onto the defence against Notley, who's going to look up the inside at turn 3. No, not quite. Now Notley's going to be on the outside for the loop. The hunting ground for Notley, the loop, has been for this session so far. He's made, I think, 2, maybe 3 moves there that have worked in his favour. Now we're on the rear wing of Trainboy 2005 as he tries to defend from Notley, actually squeezing him a little bit there. The Mercedes line, in fact, if anyone here watches Formula 1. Now, on the inside, is Notley going to get the inside line on Fidlack? No, not quite. However, he is going to get the inside against Trainboy 2005. Now, maybe the inside through Luffield. Yes. So Trainboy 2005 is going to be forced out wide. Maybe Rob Phillips could capitalise on this as well. Being pushed out wide at Luffield does lose you a whole heap of time, in fact. We've seen one driver push another driver out wide, and then any driver behind just sees a gap, and it's right there for the taking. Now, Trainboy 2005, side by side with Rob Phillips as they head towards Carps. Notley defending the inside as well. Oh, Rob Phillips not quite making the move there either. Trainboy 2005 very much on the rear bumper of Notley. Gap is actually under a tenth, in fact. Just see that train of 3 cars. Aaron Fidlack has started to make a little bit of a gap as well up ahead. 1.1 seconds between Fidlack and Fidlack. Good job, Husky. You've messed up a name you've been saying maybe well for the entire stream. As we are running now, nose to tail, down towards Stowe. We're currently focused on Trainboy 2005, who's chasing the rear of Notley. Notley as well is going to want to be pulling that gap to Fidlack down too, as obviously with 21 minutes and 45 seconds left on the clock, time could be running out. Time's also running out if you look at the races as well. We will have 4 races, including this one, left on the calendar. So moving back up the grid now, we're with Ed Costella Once again, he's got that gap down to Milt. Half a second separating the two drivers. Milt goes very deep there at Luffield, actually. That was good. Quick drink break for everyone's favourite commentator. We'll have to see now. The gaps have started to form up and down the grid. We are going to jump back to 9th place. In fact, Subnight on Automated Luxury, 2/10 separating the two drivers. You can see Automated Luxury just ahead there. Maybe a move into Maggots could be in order. See, getting the curb cam going there, actually. Automated Luxury defending that inside. Now, Subnight could try the outside line just to get the inside into Beckett. No, that has been scuppered pretty quickly. In fact, I bet in the chat as well, George is sat there watching the gap between Milt and Ed Costello come down, absolutely chewing his fingernails off. As now we head towards Stowe. Subnight against Automated Luxury. Subnight on the outside. Automated Luxury on the inside. There could be a switchback, maybe. No, Automated Luxury hugging that apex beautifully there. So it might be a move into Stowe, in fact. Ed Costello setting a personal best of a 231.6. Down the inside goes Subnight at Vale. Is he going to hold it? Automated Luxury might get the inside line around the second part. No. Subnight has made the move for 8th place. However, the gaps are still there. Have a look. Automated Luxury chasing the rear. We're going to jump up the grid once again to Ed Costello, who might have a look down the inside at Brooklands against Milt. Ed Costello down the inside. Forces Milt out wide a little bit. It could happen. Milt might get the inside into Luffield now. Oh, looks like Ed Costello is trying to damage control there. Ed Costello already grown wise to the pushing out wide at Luffield. Now side by side towards Cops. Let's see how this one goes for them. Milt going to get the inside line. I think that's going to be pretty cut and dry. In fact, yeah, looks like it. Pretty cut and dry now as they head through Maggots and Beckett's. They're side by side once again. Ed Costello has made the move, but Milt's now on the inside. Ed Costello on the inside now. Who's going to get the inside? There is contact between the two. Bit of side by side contact. Both drivers getting a bit loose there, in fact. We're on the rear wing of Ed Costello now. Milt will have the draft down the hanger straight. However, there might be a bit of a move into Stowe on the cards there for Milt, who goes to the inside. Ed Costello goes to the outside. So clearly Ed Costello prefers to defend from the outside and maybe get the cutback, as they are nose to tail. A contact there, nose to rear for Ed Costello on Milt. Milt getting very loose at the back there. Looked like the rear tyres might have actually lifted off the floor as Ed Costello tried for the cutback. So that is Ed Costello up to 2nd place. Maybe a bit of contact there helped to make the move. It did look like it. It looked like Ed Costello tried to get the cutback and just had Milt there. Wrong place, wrong time, wrong speed. In fact. Now we're with Nopley, who's on the rear of Rob Phillips. What? Sorry, I didn't notice Gon's getting further up, to be honest. when I last looked, Notley was in front of Gons, and Gons getting a bit loose on the exit of Vale there, actually. In fact, might lose out the position here. Yes, he does. Now towards turn 1. Is there anything Gons can actually do? Could be interesting to see. Gons currently running in 14th, battling Notley for 13th. Have a look. Notley there. Catching up to the rear of Firedlack once again. However, maybe losing time to Rob Phillips behind as well. Always a risk when battling. You don't want to lose time to the car behind, and you don't want to make a mistake that allows the car behind to profit even more off of your hard work pulling a driver in. Notley taking a very deep line into Brooklands, in fact. See now what happens. We are going to step up the grid once again to Lady Oscar, side by side with Subnai through Maggots. Getting ahead through the first part of Maggots, actually, even though he had the outside line there. Very good move for Lady Oscar to put himself up into 8th position. Lady Oscar is in championship contention, so we'll see how that goes throughout the season. Now we're back with the Notley-Rob Phillips fight. Rob Phillips on the inside. Is Notley going to get the inside into Beckett's? That's the question. Yes, he is. So many cars there, actually. With Dave Barber in the mix, with Deep Cuts and Crisp SC7, as well as Cameron Winters. So there is a massive group of cars here. Actually, in reality, 12th through to 18th. And there's Transbaconist. That was beautiful timing there for Transbaconist to come up on the screen. Now let's see, Rob Phillips will have the inside into the first part of Vale. Now the worst part is, you need to get the braking done as late as possible to be able to defend the second part into Vale as well. It's not about the speed for the defense there, it seems. It's about the positioning instead, as Rob Phillips goes very deep on the exit of Vale and allows Notley to pass by pretty much unhinged. Now, Rob Phillips will be opened up to Dave Bartledew, who has made the move for 14th into the first corner. And you can also see side by side Cameron Winters and Deep Cuts as well. Dave Bartledew pushing Rob Phillips outside at Farm Curve. Crisp SC7 also making a move into the third corner. Very good move there for Crisp SC7. Now through the loop, Dave Bartledew has made it back, and Deep Cuts is also looking to capitalise as well. We are on board with Rob Phillips, who has someone on the rear too. Rob Phillips going very deep out of Aintree. It's Cameron Winters on the inside of Rob Phillips. Well, look, as Cameron Winters gets ahead through Brooklands. Oh, big lock up there from Deep Cuts, and contact there for Dave Bartledew, who hits Crisp SC7. Cameron Winters is caught up in it as well. Contact on the rear tyre of Dave Bartledew. Dave Bartledew then corrected, hit the side of Crisp SC7, and just about hit the front of Cameron Winters as well. That was an absolute domino effect of a collision there. With 12 minutes just over left on the clock. There is still stuff to play for. The gap between first and second is just under 12 seconds. It will be 12 seconds in a moment, actually. So I think it might be safe to say Darkius will have a good chance of winning, which will be retribution from the last round at Austria for the Frenchman. Oh, Crisp SC7 getting a big lock up there through Beckett's. As up the grid, Subnai has made a move for 9th. Notley has made the move for 12th as well against Aaron Fidelak. And Fidelak will maybe look to make his move back. Trying to find a correct camera angle as well to get a good view of the side-by-side between the two. Here we go, side-by-side. Notley on the inside, Aaron Fidlack on the outside. Pretty cut and dry move there, as Dave Bartle will do. Kieran Deep cuts at bay behind, with Chris Bessie 7 having dropped down to 16th. As well, your top three is currently Darkius, Ed Costetta and Milt. So, three drivers very much in the running for the Drivers' Championship this season. Very interesting to see how this comes up at the end. We are now going to switch back to the front of the grid. Aaron Fidlack going for a move down the inside at turn 3. Both drivers lock up, not knock up. Aaron Fidlack, getting a bit deeper there as Notley makes the move into the loop again, but Aaron Fidlack goes wide to try and cut back. They will be side by side through Aintree, maybe side by side down Brooklands. Oh, very good avoidance there from the two drivers as they head down the Wellington Straight towards Brooklands. 10 minutes just over left on the clock, around 5, maybe 6 laps depending on where Darkius is. Aaron Fidlack getting the inside at Brooklands. Notley maybe will look down the inside at Luffield. No, looking to the outside. In fact, no, going out wide maybe to get a faster line through Luffield itself. We'll have to see. Aaron Fidlack retaining 12th position for now. Very good move there from Aaron Fidlack to get the straight line speed out of the loop, in fact. Now with Cameron Winters, who's on the inside of Dave Bartle. They will be side by side into Cops. So here we go, side by side into Cops. Deep Cuts is in the mix as well. Is Cameron Winters going to be able to hold the position? No, he might lose out on straight line speed on the run towards Maggots. So you can see that big cluster of cars ahead. You can also see Notley and Aaron Fidlack getting a bit of action, as well as Deep Cuts gets past Dave Bartle. Dave Bartle's off as well. A collision there between Dave Bartle and Cameron Winters. Just in the left-hand corner of our screen. Now with Aaron Fidlack side by side with Notley as they head towards Stowe, or the mountain section as it has been called today. Which is interesting. Now towards Vale. We'll have to see as we get the high up camera once again. They are very close together, side by side. Notley could claim the inside of the second part. Yes, he is. He is going to claim the inside of the second part. Could even squeeze Fidlack out a bit wider as they head towards Club. No, Notley holding a position through Club. Now we're going to be back on board with Notley. He does switch to the inside for the first corner. It's so close between. It's now a 3-car battle. Chris Bessie 7 is in the mix as well against his teammate. So now Aaron Fidlack is going to be under attack from his teammate as well as attacking Notley. Very close wheel to wheel there through the third corner. Now let's see what happens through the loop again. Aaron Fidlack has been taking a wider line to get a faster line onto the Wellington Straight. Notley looks like he gets a bit out of position on the exit there, as now through Aintree onto the Wellington Straight. Aaron Fidlack getting ahead, but no, they're still side by side. In fact, let's see how this goes now into the Brooklands Luffield part of the track. Through Brooklands, down the inside goes Chris Bessie 7 as well, going very deep actually and getting a lock-up, maybe putting his teammate out of position for this race. Chris Bessie 7 now under attack from Deep Cuts behind as well. We are on the rear wing now of Aaron Fidlack. 7 minutes just over left on the clock. It is so close. Now towards Cops. See, there's 2 battles happening here. There's Deep Cuts and Chris Bessie 7 behind. There's Notley and Aaron Fidlack ahead. We'll have to see what happens as they head through Maggots and Beckett's. You can see that big selection of cars there. They are nose to tail through Maggots. They may be nose to tail through Beckett's. We'll have to see. There could be a move up the inside. No, not quite. It's just not to be. You can see how close, however, Chris Bessie 7 is to the rear of Notley's car. There's side by side now towards Cops is Notley. And Aaron Feidlack, let's see what happens. A lot of cars trying to get cutbacks as Notley's round. Notley's round. Aaron Feidlack's round as well. Chris Bessie 7 games out of it. Deep Cuts games very much out of it, in fact. I'm not sure what happened there. The camera cut at the perfect time. It looked like there might have just been a small coming together that sent both Aaron Feidlack and Notley off the track. Aaron Feidlack losing a lot more than Notley out of that. Notley 1.3 seconds off of Dave Bartleby, having lost about 4-5 positions maybe between the two. I'm not 100% sure what had happened there. That might actually be one for the stewards, to be completely honest. Here is Irish Clone on the rear of Transbaconist. This will be for 19th position. Irish Clone in the blue and white Skip Barber. Transbaconist in the white and red QP livery. For people that don't know, QP is apparently a brand of mayonnaise. Why mayonnaise has a baby as the mascot, I will never know. It's advertisement gone mad. I can't believe I've just had to use the term advertisement gone mad with a completely straight face. Commentary has broken me. Anyway, back to the race at hand. Irish Clone getting up the inside of Transbaconist around Luffield now. As Transbaconist going to be able to fight back against Irish Clone as they head through Cops. I'll have to see. It might be a side-by-side, sorry, through Woodcott. It might be a side-by-side through Cops, as we're not going to be watching that one, it seems. We're going to be watching Automated Luxury trying to make moves on Subnai as they head through Stowe. The gap between the two, about 4/10. We're now with Irish Clone and Transbaconist. Irish Clone on the rear as they head through Maggots. Oh, Transbaconist getting a very good line through Maggots, and then a not so good line through the second parts of Maggots. Transbaconist is one of the people that talk about commentators' curse. As Lady Oscar is pitting in. Lady Oscar pitting in from 8. Seems to just be a stop-go, losing 2 positions to come out in 10th. Is Trainboy 2005 going to be able to catch up to Lady Oscar? I don't believe so, as Lady Oscar is just coming out the pit lane now. We'll be able to see Trainboy 2005 appear. He could actually catch up. I'm not sure. If it was maybe like a second behind, it could have happened. It could have been not enough fuel, but that was a very quick stop go. It was in out. It wasn't like in stop out. It was in out. Very interesting. As now we're with Crisp SC7, who's just made the move there. We just saw him, Rob Phillips, through turn 3. Now let's see what happens through the loop. Is Rob Phillips going to be able to fight back? Not through the loop, he's not. Yeah, that was a very, very weird pit there for Lady Oscar. Very, very quick splash and dash, if it was a splash and dash, which is weird. Now we're with Nutley on... Nutley? Face husky. Straight face. Now we're with Nutley on the rear of Dave Bartleby as they head into Brooklands. Very close together. Dave Bartleby will get the inside line into Luffield, though, which is... very useful to get, really. You want to make the move before you get to Luffield and get the inside. Otherwise, you can get pushed out very wide into Luffield, in fact. So we are into the final minute and 30 seconds. Darkius is your leader with Ed Costetta in second place. There goes someone very deep. It is one of the Team Vapor machines. It was Deep Cuts just ahead. We are almost at the end of the race now. This has been an absolutely rapid 45 minutes of racing. With this being sort of the same time rule as GT racing. The minute the leader crosses the line with 0 seconds left on the clock, that is the end of the race. So that means if the leader Darkius crosses the line with 1 second left, it's another lap. As now through Vale, Nopley is going to get the inside through the first part and the second part against Dave Bartle. Have a look where Darkius is. Darkius, I don't think is going to be having another lap, so we might be looking at our race winner here. With a 9.7, 9.6 gap to second place of Ed Costetta. This is going to be redemption for Darkius after the Austrian Grand Prix as he heads onto the Hangar Straight. This will be the final lap. Darkius, after having an absolute meal of a race at the Red Bull Ring 2 weeks ago, looks to be set for a very strong, very commanding victory here at Silverstone. He just has 4 more corners to negotiate through Stowe, now through Vale, which I count as 2 corners because I count chicanes as 2 corners because I'm not a psychopath. Now through Vale, now the first part. 1. He has no one around. Now the second part. 2. Now 1 final corner at Club. Getting very loose on the rear there. However, it isn't going to matter as across the line to take the victory after an abysmal result at the Red Bull Ring, it is Darkius who comes to take the win here at Silverstone. And there goes Ed Costetta having dropped the gap to 8.7 seconds from, I think, about 11. And get a good view of the cars finishing the race now. You can see the pit garages as the cars come through. So Suicidal Cookie takes 5th. Coming through 6th is Jacob the Snack. 7th is Sench. So we are just calling the drivers now for interviews. Your provisional race results will follow just in a moment as the rest of the cars come through. Nopley there just beating out Dave Bartle, in fact. So your race results are as follows, as the race results will be pretty much, I think, done and dusted now. Coming through to take the win. These are only provisional. Keep in mind, post-race stewarding can still happen. Darkius comes through to take the win after his result at the Red Bull Ring last time out. Second place, Ed Costetta. 3rd goes to Milt. 4th, Lecherous Sloth. Followed by Suicidal Cookie, Jacob the Snack, Sench, Subnai, Automated Luxury, Lady Oscar, Trainboy 2005, Deep Cuts, Crisp SC7, Rob Phillips, Cameron Winters, Nopley, Dave Bartle, Aaron Feidlack, Irish Clone, Trans Baconist, and Nook Gibbon comes to round off the grid tonight. But here comes Trans Baconist. Final corner, so that will be the end of the race. We are just going to grab the top 3 in for interview this evening. We're going to grab well, we'll see who we grab first. See who joins in first. As that was an amazing race this evening. Oh. So we're going to go in reverse order tonight, I believe. We're going to start with Milt. So, Milt, P3.
Woo! Yeah.
How was that from your perspective, mate? A fierce battle there with Ed.
Yeah, that was something. Holy damn.
You were, Jort in the chat all the way through as well.
Yeah, he joined my voice channel as well during the race.
So, you are in the running for the championship. How do you think your chances are with now 3 races left in the season? Do you think you can beat both Ed and Dark?
It's getting difficult. Also, the fact that they both outscored me today, it's getting more difficult each race. Good job to Dark this race. He was really consistent and really fast today. Had some tough battling with Ed. Some tippity taps as well, so I'll have a look at that. But I think that's just some race incidents. But good battling with him as well. Yeah, I heard from your dad there was a lot of battling behind me. Sadly, I couldn't see, but I'll have to watch that back.
One thing that I did want to ask about, actually, is the 2 drop rounds that come in the season. I've heard a few drivers say they've already used theirs as if they're working it into a strategy. Do you think you have drop rounds left? Could you afford another bad result this season, or have you used all yours up, do you think?
I think I've used all of mine. It started great with the first race in Australia, of course, DNF. Didn't have a lot of bad results after, but Monaco definitely wasn't the best of mine. So I think I've used all of mine. It's not really a strategy of using them. I'd rather just get good results all races. But I'll have to watch out for the coming races.
Awesome, mate. Right, thank you for coming and talking to me. I'll let you go now. Good luck at the next race at Calabui. The championship could still be on the line. Maybe you could be in with the win. We'll see.
Let's hope so, yeah. Thank you for commentary, man.
Awesome, mate. Have a good evening. I'll see you, I think, maybe at the ACC race if you're doing that.
Probably not, but we'll see. I'll be in the chat.
Awesome. Have a good evening, Milt. Congratulations on 3rd place. So that was Milt coming through for 3rd place. Let's see who I can grab next. I'm going to rip this man out of the chat. I'm going to summon him.
Yeah, man. Quali, I literally just got out of the car, did 1 lap, and that's all I needed to do. I couldn't go anywhere near that afterwards, even with the draft that Jaker gave me. It's one of those rare ones, so I'm happy with that.
Okay, thank you for that. That was arguably not the best time whatsoever.
Hi, Husky. Sorry, man. I just realized...
I killed you right in the end of that conversation.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody else before I got dragged, but thanks for dragging me here. How are you doing, man?
I'm good. That was an absolutely amazing race. I'm guessing from your perspective as well, coming through to take the win after 14th, I think it was, in Austria. Absolute redemption drive. How was it from your perspective?
It's exactly what I needed, because after last race I was very, very disappointed in myself. I punted somebody, I finished very far away. I was on my 3rd steward's warning, which puts me into a difficult situation for future incidents. But yeah, this one was quickest in quali, kept it clean throughout the race, didn't make many mistakes. And at the end, I just had enough space so I could take it easy, and yeah, that felt good.
And at Austria as well, there was a 7-point gap at the end between yourself and Ed. Do you think this championship might come down to the final race, or are you hoping just to beat him out before then?
It really depends on how much practice he gets. I know that once he gets his practice going, it's very hard to catch him, or to beat him even, but yeah, looking at it currently, if we had 7 points gap, we should have probably, I think, 4 points gap now, still him leading. So it's certainly getting closer.
And the final thing from me for my questioning, Spectre, your team currently running in the lead of the constructors, a 4-point gap between yourselves and the Penguins after the Austrian GP. Do you think you could be in with a good chance of taking home the double title this season?
I certainly hope so. That would be great. I would definitely put it on the livery for next season, in whatever car we'll be driving. But I know the Penguins, whether their main drivers are not available, they do tend to get quite quick drivers and quite consistent drivers, even though they're replacement drivers. So I think it's gonna be very close.
Next round at Calabui, track that I've never heard of. How do you think
Me
you're going to
neither.
be around there? Oh, okay, right. So that just answered my question there.
I've never seen it before. It's a total surprise.
So that really opens up the second question. A new track. How is that going to affect how you go into the next round?
It's gonna require more practice. Tracks like these ones, Silverstone, Monaco, tracks I already know. It's a bit easier for me to just get into them. I have some time, but not necessarily a lot of time. So this one, I'm gonna have to start practicing early, just so that I can learn the track and then learn how to go fast on it. It's going to be might be a bit trickier one for me. This one.
Well, with the championship on the line, it is going to be very close. I think that might not put you 100% at rest, really. I'm guessing that does put the pressure on quite a bit each race.
Yeah, it's tough because every point counts. But I think I've learned in the last race in Austria that the number one objective is to finish and to finish in the points, and then you can. You end up wherever you end up. Usually the race is long enough to catch up and make progress. So, yeah, it's just about staying in the points and staying consistent.
Awesome. Well, hopefully, good luck in the next round. Who knows, if things go well, we might actually be crowning you as the champion this season. It is going to be close. Congratulations on your win, Dirk. I wish you a great evening. I'm going to let you go now. If there's anything else you'd like to add before I drag you back up.
No, I'm alright. Thank you so much, as always, Husky. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Have a great one.
Awesome. You too, mate. Have a good evening.
See ya.
So that was Darkius finishing in first place in the chat. Milt saying he'll do everything to get the team champ. Who knows, the last race we might get a Racing Pals version of Is That Clock? So we're going to see if Ed Cassetta is existing in the chats. Yes, he is. We are going to drag in Ed Cassetta as well. Hello, Ed. Second place, 4-point gap maybe in the championship. How are you feeling?
Hey, Husky. I'm feeling pretty good. It was a decent race there. I think I finally found my rhythm. I think the second to last lap of the race was my fastest. So it was a little eventful. Had some good racing there with Milt, I think, and that was a lot of fun. And yeah, but decent result.
And I was just talking to Dark about the championship. A 7-point gap at the Austrian GP between you and Dark. I think it's going to be a 4-point gap in one way. Do you think you're going to be able to hold on to your title this year, or do you think Dark is making a very good challenge for it?
Yeah, he's definitely making a good challenge. I'd imagine we're going to swap the lead at least one more time before the end of the season. And the next track is one that I don't think anybody's heard of, so that's a complete wild card. Sebring's a lot of fun. I've run in that in iRacing. Maybe I'll have a little advantage since that's in the U.S. and maybe Dark hasn't run there a lot. And then I think it's in Lagos for the last one, so that'll be a really fun finishing race.
Well, obviously a track that we've not. I think that there might be one person in the chat who's heard it, so we might see someone completely different win. How is that going to affect the way you go into the race weekend itself?
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely have to practice. Like Silverstone, the first laps I ran was basically qualifying, and I'm not gonna be able to do that on a track I've never seen before. So I'm gonna have to put in some laps during the week, and we'll see. I don't even know what kind of track it is. I'm gonna Google it here. But it should shake it up, should make it interesting for sure.
And one thing I have asked of Milt, actually, the drop rounds, you get 2 of them a season. Do you think that you've used yours this season, or have you got room to have a bad result and still come out pretty strong on points, do you think?
Honestly, I don't know. I think I've had, like, Callum, what track was that? Kailami, I think, was a bad race for me. So I think that's definitely a drop week. The other ones I think I did decent on. So I mean, hopefully, you know, the worst ones are behind me, and then I don't have to use them at 8, 9, and 10. That would be ideal. But I might have one that might save me if I have a DNF or something in these coming races.
Awesome, Ed. Thank you for coming and talking to me, mate. I'm going to let you go now. Good luck for the rest of the season. Who knows? It's going to be close in the Drivers' Championship. It's going to be great to watch as well. Have a good evening, mate.
Thanks, and I was listening to you in the background. Awesome broadcast as always, and congrats to Dark for a great race, and congrats to Milt there for third.
Awesome, mate. Have a good evening. I will see you at whenever the next see you in the race.
Good to see you then.
Have a good evening, mate. So that was Ed Costetta, who came through to take second place. Currently first in the championship after Austria. Might be second in the championship now. It will be a 4-point gap, I think, as Dark was saying with his quick maths. Dark, I think, passed a math exam, unlike me. Anyway. The self-burns. I love them. Anyway, from me and everyone at Racing Pals, that was round 7 of the Skip Barber Season 3 here at Silverstone for the British Grand Prix. Join me in 2 weeks for round 8 at Canada. There we go. And if you want your fill of racing before then, we have the next round of the ACC Racing Pals Season 2 on the 30th of the 5th at 18:45 UTC at Spa in the GT3s. Until then, I've been Husky. Thank you very much for watching. All the replays from this race and the other races are available on my YouTube channel at That Husky. Until then, thank you for watching and goodbye.